I just got back from an evening walk watching the sunset. A beautiful September sunset. And it really was amazing. It was stunning. And as the sun went behind the clouds on the horizon, it was glowing around the edge. It was really bright. I was looking in and around it, and it was really quite trippy. It was beautiful. But the moment it went behind the horizon, that split second, in classic English fashion, it started to rain. And it quickly started to rain quite heavily. It was spitting, but it was quite a heavy spit. So I got up off the hill and started my walk home. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was one of those walks that I just could have kept on walking. Even though it was raining, I could have kept on walking. It was beautiful. The rain on my face and the smell of English apples in the air. It was beautiful. It really, really was. I went to record this video earlier. I actually started recording this video earlier, but it wasn't meant to be. My friends turned up out of the blue. I wasn't expecting them to arrive, but they did. So I ended up having a coffee and a catch up with them for a few hours before heading out for my evening sunset walk. And I'm pleased I did. You know, it wasn't meant to be, and it feels like this is the right time to be recording it instead. It's a Sunday night here, and yeah, it's a nice Sunday evening, and it's a nice way to be ending the week with a walk in the rain, in the light rain, and watching the sunset. So I'm grateful for that evening I've just had. But the video that I set out to record earlier on, and what I'm going to pick up now, is around the idea of falling short. You know, when you set out to do something, you actually do the thing you set out to do. Maybe an idea or a project or a business, you fall short. You don't quite manage to take it to the level that you'd hoped, or you've managed to get it to the level where you don't kind of feel the success around what you'd envisioned. You know, that idea, it feels a bit like failing, but it's not quite, you know, because you actually done the thing that you set out to do, but you didn't quite get back in return what you'd hoped. You know, you didn't quite manage to achieve the level of success that you wanted to achieve. And this can be a rough feeling, you know, because you've put all the energy in. You've actually done the thing that you set out to do in many ways. You walked through with it. Not only did you start, you carried on that journey of what it takes to bring into life what you envisioned. Yeah, it gets to a certain point and you just feel like it's not quite, you didn't quite manage to take it to the right level, or the level that you'd hoped, you know, for you to feel it was a success. And you're left with that idea of feeling that you felt short, you know, you fell short. And as I said, it's not quite failing because you've done the thing, but it can feel like you did, you know. Falling short, it's a bit of a rough feeling. But the thing is with this, you know, and the idea of falling short is you've got it in you to do the project, right? Otherwise you wouldn't have started in the first place. And this is why it can be kind of a hard feeling, because you've actually gone through and done it. It's not like you just pondered on it and never done it. It took energy, you know, it took brain power and it took physical energy to bring it into life, a certain project or idea. You didn't quite manage it to the extent that you wanted to. And that's our expectations, right? We set these expectations of what the end goal is going to be. And we're on that journey every day, or every time you turn up to put energy into that idea or project, you're on that journey of getting to that end goal of what you expect it to be for it to be a success. And you don't quite get that feeling. You don't quite get that resolved feeling of, I done it. That's it. I done it. I achieved what I set out to do. But you definitely would have got something along the way, right? And this is what I want to talk about. You don't put your energy and passion and love into something time and time again without getting anything back. You don't do it with zero return. There's always something you pick up along the way. And a lot of the time, it's the love's in the journey, right? It's all about the journey. We hear this time and time again about you've got to enjoy the journey. You can actually get to that end goal sometimes of when you do achieve the level of success, and it can be a bit of a drop of energy, you know, because you've been focused on this one goal for a long time. And then when you get there, it's a bit like, now what? And that kind of sums it up, that it's all in the journey, right? And it also just goes to show that if you have started these projects and you felt like you fell short, or you keep falling short on these different ventures and these different things you do, it shows you what kind of person you are, for a start, that you can actually pick up things and start building something and start bringing a vision that you've got in mind to life. Taking the first footsteps is what so many people don't actually get around to doing. So the fact that you've fell short is a positive, right? Because you're actually doing things to fall short on. You know, you're doing things that show that you've got an end vision in mind, and you see a goal big enough to achieve that would be successful, that you could actually be successful. The idea that you actually believe that you can be successful is a big thing. You know, you've got that self-worth and you believe in yourself enough to take those first steps and follow through each day on building whatever it is that you're trying to build. And sure, you might get to the point where you fell short and not reach the level of success. And how common is that, you know? How common is that, where you don't quite manage to reach the level that you wanted to, or you didn't quite get the feedback you wanted, or the exchange that you wanted from doing the thing. So we call that the success, right? The thing that would have made you feel like that project was successful, that idea was successful. But you would have got something back in return, for sure. And this is what it's good for us to recognize, is that what's it all about? You know, the end goal, and us deciding that our expectations have meant that this is not deemed as successful. Yet all the lessons we would have picked up along the way, you know, the growth we would have had by turning up time and time again to work on something, on a craft or on an idea, on a business or something like this, and keep taking the footsteps forward to go further and further down that path, you know. For you to even get to the point where you feel like, it didn't really work, it wasn't a success. But it shows you that you're that sort of person that can do that, you know, that you can see that in yourself and actually achieve starting a project, walking through and seeing a vision big enough that it's big enough that you can fall short, and it's not an easy task. That says a lot about who you are, and what your goals, you know, that you've got them. And not only that, you can take the first steps and the ones after it to start chipping away at that project. It shows you what kind of person you are. Sometimes I think these things just aren't meant to be, you know, and it's the things we learn along the way that are probably the reason we do it, or what we get back into it in return. You know, that's what I said. We don't do these things, even if you feel like you fell short. You don't do this thing with zero return. There's definitely an exchange, and that might be in just growth and in lessons. You know, you might have learned what or where your weaknesses are. You might have worked out what you're actually natural at, what did work, you know, what did go to plan, who did you meet along the way in that particular field. Where did that project and you falling short, or you feeling like you fell short, what did it show you about yourself and your mindset, or where your weaknesses are, or the things that come natural to you? And this is going to show you what to work on next time, you know, what needs a little bit of love, and what's natural gift for you. So all these things we pick up along the way, you know, of actually setting out to do the thing, to bring into life the vision we've got. But sometimes I do think it's not meant to be, you know, and maybe this is a good time to ask yourself the projects that you feel like you fell short on, or the ideas you fell short on, maybe the career paths you fell short on. If you're real with yourself, were they actually in alignment with what you really want? Sometimes we can kid ourselves, right, and we start striving towards something, and it's not actually suiting our true character, or it's not actually leading us to a path or a place that would actually suit our true character. We can kind of kid ourselves. Would that, if you were successful in that thing that you feel like you fell short on, would it actually lead you to your dream life? Would it actually lead you to your dream lifestyle? Or would you find yourself in a position that it actually drained you, right? Sometimes it's just not meant to be, and we can't see it. And there comes a point we have to be real with ourselves, and you think, actually, I'm kind of pleased that I didn't manage to take that to the level that I had originally planned, because it wouldn't have suited me at all. And I've definitely had this in my life, you know, of realising that, wow, I've really enjoyed certain projects and certain things and felt like I fell short on them. But if I'm real with myself, I think, yeah, but if I had succeeded in the way, it probably would have only gone so far anyway before I realised that it wasn't exactly what I wanted in terms of lifestyle. It didn't quite suit my character. And it would have been at my detriment to actually be successful in that particular field. And the things that we learn along the way, as I said, is huge. It's all about the journey. And I love that, right? We have to remind ourselves that it's good that we have these goals, and it's good that we have these expectations, because they help us set goals and become clear on what it is that we envision and try and bring it into life. Without expectation, we'd be maybe not as ambitious or set on what it is that we try and achieve. But expectations themselves, in a way, set us up for failure, or for falling short, because it's our own expectations that determine what the idea of success is. And this is a tricky one, because there's no doubt you would have picked up and broke through barriers and overcome things and learnt about yourself in the process. And ultimately, I think that's the ultimate success. You know, you've kind of done it, even if you feel like you fell short. the lessons you learn about yourself, and actually getting on and exploring a certain project or certain idea is the success itself. You take these lessons, and if you look back to think, when I started that, I hadn't learned all these things. It was through starting and through doing it that I learned all that, and I'm pleased that I did. And you can start flipping the mindset of, I didn't quite take it to where I went to, and that where I wanted to, and that can be for many different reasons, right? It's going to be different for everyone. Sometimes it might just be, as I said, it's not meant to be, and it wouldn't have suited yourself anyway, and that's a bit of a blessing. That's a gift in disguise. Other times it might still cut deep, and you think, Some of you might continue walking that path and keep overcoming, falling short, and you'll get there eventually anyway, and congratulations to you if so. That's amazing, But for those of you that don't, it wasn't wasted, it wasn't for nothing. And these are life lessons. You're learning about yourself, how you are in these environments of running projects and exploring ideas, or how you are in business, or how you are creatively. And this is amazing that we have that. It definitely wouldn't have been for zero return. And the idea of the expectation, right, of setting us up for falling short in many ways. It sets us up for falling short. So rather than the success being this, maybe becoming famous or becoming rich or becoming well known through doing a certain thing or making it a career, our idea of success should be the fulfillment we get from going on that journey of exploring something, being someone that does actually pick themselves up and learn and start bringing and birthing things into life, no matter if they reach the end goal or not. That's success. Spending our time on positive things, doing positive things that put our mind in a positive place and bring us joy, even when it's hard work and you're problem solving. Those things that keep your mind in a positive place and you're actually using your skills and gaining skills as you go, that's success. And by doing this and not being put off by falling short and picking yourself back up again and exploring maybe another pursuit or idea or project, or returning to the same one, sooner or later you will achieve that level of success that you had envisioned from the start anyway. It just might not be that particular thing that you are to succeed in. Something else is meant to be, or you had more lessons to learn, you had more growth to be had before your idea of success, your expectation of success come to light. To expect ourselves to do it on the first try or the first project or the first idea is quite a high expectation to have. But even if it's your 10th venture and you still feel like you're falling short, dust yourself off, go again and be true, and don't compare your journey to others, because we've all got a unique journey. We're on this journey to learn different things and we can't compare. And maybe someone that's younger than you might actually achieve it first time, but there'll be plenty of work and hurdles that they overcome that we don't see in that journey. It's no point comparing. You're on your own mission, you're on your own journey, and stay true to that, stay true to yourself, and don't give up no matter how much you fall short. No matter how much you're putting love and energy and hard work into a certain project and feel like you're not quite getting back in exchange what you want, you are. You're gaining life lessons, you're gaining wisdom, you're gaining tools that are only going to set you up for success further down the line. And it might be a different project that actually is meant to be, that's actually in alignment with your dream life, that's actually suits your character, your natural gifts, the life you actually want to live. And sometimes we can't see that. We can be quite short-sighted. And instead it just feels like we've failed again. We've failed. Or we haven't. It's a beautiful life, and we've got to learn to trust the journey and enjoy the journey. And I know that's cliche, but the love is all in the journey. It really is. In the problem solving, in the times before you've had success in a certain field or managed to achieve a certain level of quality that you've been striving for. The journey's in that. The love's in that journey. So common the way we talk and everything else is rushing our lives away. But these are the good old days, man. These are the good old days that you can enjoy the overcoming and the learning and the falling short. And all these lessons, as I said, will set you up to be someone that can actually succeed in the way they originally thought one day. And then you'll appreciate it when that comes, because you will know and then see clearly that all those lessons, all those setbacks, all that falling short set you up to actually achieve the thing you was meant to achieve at the level that you were destined to achieve it. Because just when you're taking falling short and fouled, it's a hard thing to take, it's a hard thing to swallow, especially when you're pouring energy into it. But no matter how much you fail, you learn lessons, you learn things along the way. And you don't learn these things without just doing it. You don't learn these things without actually putting yourself in the situation and putting your heart and soul into it. And how it feels when you overcome things, how it feels when you get setbacks. You have to be in that. You can't, there's only so much books you can read that's going to give you wisdom before you actually set out and take on those lessons in real life through experience. I think we can not lower our expectations. As I said, it's how we set our goals, it's how we strive for big things. But our expectations of chasing success and what success looks like they are just our expectations, and they're going to be different for everyone. And the level of success can just be the things you learn throughout the way, keeping your mind in a good place by exploring something and being locked in on something that's healthy for you, that sparks passion and love. And by being that kind of person that does that time and time again, you're more likely to succeed than the person that never had it in them and never believed in the first place that they could achieve the thing that you feel you can achieve, for you then to feel the wound of falling short. But to even have that in you, that you believe in yourself, is massive. It really, really is, and should be celebrated. And those nights you lay there thinking about what's gone wrong and how to overcome it, and the frustration, but also the belief still burns bright. And as I said, it might be a future project where it all comes together in the most perfect way, and you reach the level of success that you originally envisioned, or even more. And it was all those setbacks, all that lessons, all those moments of growth and overcoming through the falling short, through not quite being ready, that got you to that end thing. And that might be much later in our lives. Or we might just get to a level where we understand that what is success, it's personal to us. And it's the wisdom we gained along the way, it's the journey we enjoyed along the way that we'll be thankful for. And the riches and the fame, or whatever it is for you, might follow. Stay true to yourself, don't compare to others, and enjoy your journey of learning and putting your heart and soul into something, and change that falling short mindset that we all go through, those moments of falling short. Change that to recognise what you're actually learning, the growth that you're actually having along the way, because that's what's really important here. And I can imagine when we go through our lives, we can look back and see that this is what it was all about. Don't forget all the lessons and things and growth that you've picked up along the way by going on that journey. And that's where the real magic is. That's where the true test of character is. And keep going. Don't let falling short put you off starting your next venture, because as I said, all these times you fell short will eventually lead someone like you to being successful in the way that you originally hoped. Stay true, don't compare, and enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about, man.